Something I've been thinking about, leadership. The times I have been, privileged enough to be in leadership positions, the times I've been both a good leader and the times I've been a not so good leader. Also, too, over the last year in reading leadership books, I've thought about the leaders that I've, served under that have been both good and some have been not so good. And as a result of my own journey in leadership and, of course, becoming an even better human every day, I've been reading a lot of books over the last year, and actually a couple really stick out in my mind, but I'm going to share something from Glaude's book, a distinguished professor at Princeton, in his book, We're the Leaders We've Been Looking For. And he says here in discussing Ralph Waldo Emerson, this notion of the hero and representativeness, and this is taken from Emerson's book, Representative Men. Glaude writes, in Representative Men, Emerson turns to the lives of great men as resources for the art of living, not as towering heroic figures to be worshipped or idolized. He went so far as to declare, meaning Emerson here, there are no common men. All men are at last of a size, and true art is only possible on the conviction that every talent has its apotheosis somewhere. He goes on to say, Emerson sought to democratize greatness, to invoke the example of heroes who exemplify what we are all, in fact, capable of. In the end, encounters with great people serve to educate us in greatness, such that we might exemplify that quality in our own unique way in our lives. Hero worship, then, blocks the way to such a realization. He goes on to say, Emerson knew that great men and women enable us to see matters more clearly, but they can also, in excess of their influence, blind us to our own excellence. He goes on to say, in other words, great people exist that there may be even greater men and women to follow. When I read that passage the first time, I started thinking about how we deify people, how we place people on a pedestal above ourselves, as opposed to walking alongside that person, both in an actual and metaphorical sense, to exemplify the greatness that rests native or latent within us. I say that because, first and foremost, my understanding comes from the reality, the irreducible reality that we're all within the universe. And as such, we are governed by the laws that are present within the universe. And as such, we use the same processes in terms of thinking and action or inaction to bring about a desired result. And as we observe leaders, both past and present, and seek to be like them in the sense of exemplifying that courage, that commitment, the Sun Tzu in the Art of War says leadership is a matter of intelligence, trustworthiness, humaneness, courage, and sternness. And as we seek to exemplify those qualities that the people whom we observe that themselves are exemplifying, we then become a point of reference of possibility in terms of leadership, in terms of becoming a better human. And I think oftentimes we get lost because we see someone doing great things and we may not believe that we don't have that capacity to achieve something similar, when in fact nothing could be further from the truth. We all have greatness within us. It's simply a matter of accepting the fact that it's there. I've yet to mine it and then begin to do so and discover it, and allow it to shine forth. But that requires courage, going back to Sun Tzu. And as we begin thinking about it, there's something that Jocko, Willink, and Leif Babin talk about in their book Extreme Ownership, which is another book that I've read over the last year, and discussing the importance of, having these laws by which to live as a leader. And one of them I like is called Cover and Move. The other is Simple. Let's do it this way. They're Cover and Move, Simple, Prioritize and Execute, and Decentralized Command. And just highlights the importance of, as a leader, And as you are leading others and seeking to be led, you want to cover, then move. And everybody's covering everybody. So everybody in an organization, in a group setting, they are, in this case, the SEAL team, they're being aware of, one, the environment, two, the objective, three, what needs to be done, and they're protecting everyone that's around them at that point in time that's on the team. And similarly so can be thought of in relation to how we are as organizations and as individuals within those organizations, having the mindset of cover and move, keeping things simple, prioritizing what needs to be done and executing accordingly, and then having a level of decentralized command to be able to move not only the team forward, but ultimately the organization forward. I think there's a level of responsibility that we have, or as they refer to it in the book, extreme ownership. Just how when you have extreme ownership, you, by being effective as a leader, you come to lead and win. But this goes back to, again, what Sun Tzu says in The Art of War. Leadership is a matter of intelligence, trustworthiness, humaneness, courage, and sternness. And as we come to understand more fully our latent capacities as being citizens on this planet within the universe, governed by laws that we didn't create, but that we have a responsibility to work with, I think the possibilities become a bit more endless in terms of our innate capacities and what we can achieve. It's simply a matter of recognizing and beginning to work with it. And for me, one of my desires, my goal, is to understand it much more fully, the processes that we live under, how we can be better humans, how I can be a better human, and seek to move in that direction expeditiously, because time is of the essence. As you come to understand yourself much more fully as being within the universe first and foremost, governed by the laws in the universe, the social constructs that we've created as humans, some of them are beneficial, others of them are less so, and seeing them for what they are, we can navigate them much more successfully. But more importantly than navigating them, the ones that are not as beneficial as perhaps we'd like them to be, how we can envision a new way of being in the world, how we can envision a new world. And it begins with us. And for me, as one who has had the privilege to be in leadership positions and presumably will continue to be so, it's always about being and doing my best. And part of that comes from having a clear eye and asking questions. What is Ray Dalio, one of his favorite questions is, what is it that I don't know? And the mere fact of him being who he is and willing to pose that question of those around him, more specifically his staff, highlights a level of humility and being able to recognize I don't know everything and be willing to learn and apply that new knowledge in ways that benefit not just oneself, but the organization as a whole. So those are some of my thoughts recently on the matter of leadership. And there are other books. Moshik Temkin's work, Warriors, Rebels, and Saints, has informed my thinking. Similarly so with Dr. Swart and her book, Neuroscience for Leadership, how that has helped me as well. And just thinking through matters of leadership and how I can be a better person. And so I'm grateful to these thinkers, present and past, who have informed and continue to inform my thinking and have allowed me to just unearth the latent potential that resides within me and everyone. And maybe, just maybe, this video will help some do likewise. So thank you for the time. That's what I've been thinking about lately, the matter of leadership. And until the next time, cheers.